Let's talk about Chapter 3, Part 2. So what you're doing now is for Part 2, you are going to start working in your own QuickBooks file. So you're going to go to the case in the back of the chapter. So page 48, if you're looking at the printed copy of the book, or right here if you're following in the ebook. So you're going to go to QuickBooks Online. You're going to use the user ID and password that you set up when you set up your QuickBooks account in Chapter 1. And there are 4 cases that are listed in the back of the chapter. We are only going to work case 1. So don't pay attention to any of the other cases. So case 1, they're going to give you some instructions on what kind of company this is, some information about dates, etc., etc. So a couple things that I want to say about this. So number one, the most important thing in accounting is, well, first to understand what you're doing. You need to really know debits and credits, and your debit and credit rules, normal balances, that sort of thing. You learn all that stuff in financial accounting. That's why that's a prerequisite for this course. The next most important thing after understanding what you're doing is having extremely well attention to detail. Your life is going to be so much easier if you're always paying really close attention and focusing. You want to pay really close attention to instructions. What are they asking you to do? In the case problems, if you don't understand exactly how to do what they're asking you to do, that means that you didn't retain the information from working through the sample company. They taught you everything that you're going to do in case 1 in the sample company within that same chapter. So if it's telling you to go to settings or create a new account or add a new product or record some journal entries and you don't remember how to do that, that means that you need to go back and you need to read everything in the beginning of the chapter again, working through the sample company, and reteach yourself the material, which is totally fine. Maybe you didn't remember everything, maybe you didn't retain everything, but if you don't guess. Don't start just randomly recording things, kind of hoping that you're doing it right. It needs to be done exactly correct. Otherwise, things are going to end up a mess, and then you have all these mistakes to fix, and there's always the potential for having to start completely over with these case files too. So pay super, super close attention to dates. Whenever you're working in QuickBooks, it's going to try to just default to today's date. You're not recording anything on today's date. You're recording everything on the dates that the book gives you. And that's probably the most common mistake in this class, is students aren't paying attention to dates and they're in a hurry trying to work through everything. Whenever you're in a hurry in this class, I can tell you that the amount of time that you think that you're saving by being in a hurry, you're going to end up having to use that time at the end to go back and find and fix whatever mistake you made because you were in a hurry. So just meditate for a couple minutes, take a deep breath, focus, and just be here now. Don't try to be in a hurry. Number 2, after dates, you want to be super, super focused on numbers. Your numbers need to be exactly correct. Also, the accounts that you're using when you're recording things, those need to be exactly correct. So pay really close attention to all that stuff. Okay, so case 1 is going to ask you to make some modifications to your QuickBooks file. You're going to add some general ledger accounts. You're going to create journal entries. You're going to add some new products. You're going to do several things, all of which you learned how to do throughout the chapter. So it should be really easy for you. Okay, and then when you get to number 5, so you're going to prepare, and any place in the book where it says print, don't print. You don't need to print anything because you're not going to give me a printed copy of anything. You're going to run reports, and then when I ask you to, you're going to export them and you're going to turn them into me, but you don't ever need to print anything. So after you do what you need to do for this chapter, you're going to run this trial balance on this date, December 31st, 2017, and your trial balance needs to look exactly like this. The debits and credits both have to equal 81,000, and every single account needs to look exactly like this. And that also means spelling, punctuation, capitalizing things correctly. Like if, for example, and I don't know if you did this in this chapter. Okay, notes payable. So you added this notes payable account, or you're going to add this notes payable account when you work through this case. It needs to look exactly like this. So capitalize the N, capitalize the P. Don't, have it in all lowercase. Don't have it in all uppercase, because that'll just look all inconsistent and messy, and that's just not how we do things in accounting. So yours looks exactly like this. Perfect. You're good to go. You did everything perfectly. So then I want you to export that trial balance, and you can export it in either Excel or in PDF. And I don't know that it matters. I don't think it matters to me as I'm grading it. So do whatever you like best. I tend to prefer PDF for my own uses, but sometimes there's things that I want from you in Excel so that I can manipulate the report, but not in this case. Okay, so you're going to turn into me this balance sheet. And then also, when you get down to here, where you're going to prepare and not print, just prepare this transaction detail by account, you're going to follow the instructions for what it's asking you to do. If you do get to where you run your trial balance and your numbers don't match exactly, you're going to want to use that transaction detail by account to find out, what did you do wrong? Do you have a date that's wrong? Do you have an account that's wrong? A number that's wrong? Did you skip a transaction? Did you record a transaction twice? Things like that. So I also want you to export this transaction detail by account, and I want you to turn that in too. So you're going to turn in the balance sheet, you're going to turn in the transaction detail by account. And that's it. You're done with chapter 3, both part 1 and part 2. And you'll notice that I have part 1, when we're doing 2 parts of one chapter in 1 week, I have part 1 due on Friday, and then I have part 2 due on Sunday. And that's for a reason, because I don't want you just waiting until the last minute on Sunday and trying to do everything at once. It's much better for your learning to have worked with the sample company, have some time for everything to sink in, and then make sure that 2 days later you remember what the heck you're doing. And if you don't remember what the heck you're doing, then do it again. And also, as I mentioned when I first gave the introduction to this class, I absolutely 100% do not recommend doing your assignments on the night that they're due. If you're tired, something comes up, whatever, then you're going to end up not being able to turn in your assignment on time. And as you saw on the syllabus, my late penalties are pretty severe. So I recommend, highly, highly, highly recommend that you always stay ahead in any of my classes that you're taking. If you're taking the tax class also, stay at least a week ahead, because then life happens, stuff comes up, you get tired, you get overwhelmed, whatever happens, then you can say, oh my God, I'm so glad that I am a week ahead, because now I can just chill out and I can focus on the other things in my life that are more important than my QuickBooks class. So then it'll take away a lot of stress just working ahead, and it's a great habit to be in, to be a successful professional. Okay, you know where to turn in your assignments. This chapter 3, part 2, where you're going to start working on your own case in your own QuickBooks file, you're going to turn in right here, and you're going to submit both of those files, the balance sheet, or sorry, not the balance sheet, the trial balance and the transaction detail by account. Cool, that's it.